However, what my readers point out is, but there is a scenario though, as a listing agent, you do have a fiduciary duty to tell your client when the decisions they make could impact the sale of their home. And one of those decisions could be whether they offer compensation or not.
Now he admits it. This is last Wednesday, May 15th. That's after him starting a whole bunch of trouble the week before and completely exaggerating many, many aspects of what happened at NAR when I spoke about that very topic. But now he's starting to learn about fiduciary duties after all of his tweets, and he admits it there, and then he admits it again. Take a look.
But I do think that there is a case to be made that as a legitimate listing agent, you do have a fiduciary duty to inform your seller, right, as to what could happen.
Funny, he doesn't accuse himself of steering there. He only accuses me of that. And he accuses me of that in a tweet. He accuses me of that also in the tweet when he says something like, maybe Mr. LaMacchia wants to tell me again how I don't understand what steering is. So a week before that video that you just saw, from that piece of that video, I was steering. Now he's saying the same exact thing. Then a few days later, on Friday, May 10th, he went so far with another tweet, take a look at this one, where he actually asked me, remind me as I forgot, where is your law degree from, Anthony LaMacchia? And you can see my response, which was very truthful. I barely graduated from high school. I went straight to work. Most would say it's worked out for me. But what a pompous question to ask on Twitter, and then 5 days later, completely and entirely eat his words. Also 5 days after he puts out in his Substack, Notorious Rob, in which I explain things to Anthony LaMacchia and others. And he writes a 2,700-word document about how wrong I am and I don't know what steering is and all of these other things. But then on Wednesday, May 15th, admits that I am right when it comes to fiduciary duties. But they go on to say, check this out. They say it's a tough one, though. It's tough. Watch this.
That's a tough line to walk there, Rob. I mean, it's a tough one.
Sure.
That's tough, man.
And I agree. I do think this is a tough one.
They think it's a tough one. It's not a tough one. Notorious and fabulous. This is what they call themselves. It's not tough at all. Following a fiduciary duty is doing things in the best interest of your client. That is not difficult. Maybe difficult for you because you've never had a client. I know that Notorious went to law school to Yale. That's what he's bragging about, but didn't actually practice law from what I've heard. And Greg, I don't really know what he does other than call himself fabulous. They're saying it's tough. There's nothing tough about following the law, following your fiduciary duties. Yes, I said law. There is a duty of disclosure. There's various laws. It varies state by state, but being honest with your clients, treating them right, talking to them about what's in their best interest, that's not tough at all. But they feel that I explain it in not such a nice way. Take a look at this.
The way they deliver things sounds like kind of slimy when he doesn't really mean to be. That's just the way he communicates, right? So, man, I don't know, dude.
Amazing to me that I've been selling training all across North America to broker owners, team leaders, single realtors, all across North America for 9 years now. We have thousands of users in our system buying what? My scripts, my dialogues, things that I came up with. In a small portion of them, I've learned even from other very well-known, very prominent trainers. I didn't know they were slimy. Maybe some of our training customers, I know many are watching, maybe you want to consider hiring Greg so that you can learn his scripts. Maybe he's getting into that business. Take a look at the script that he says he would use when sitting across from a seller on a listing appointment. Check this out.
So I've talked to my seller. Listen,
Right.
I guess I would describe it in the context of this if I was going to do it, like just off the top of my head.
Sure.
This is a fine line that I'm talking about, right? So I don't want you to get any impression here if I'm pushing you either way, right?
Right.
But there's a concept in real estate called steering,
Right.
and this says A, B, C, D, and E.
Right.
Okay. Now that's for real, and I think you can understand why we're talking about humans. Humans are, that's the way they are.
Yep.
And there could be some confirmation bias or whatever you're talking about, but that's the way they are. Now I want to say that, but I also want to say to you as a fiduciary that this is a real problem. And I need to tell you that, but I hate saying that because that could be also construed of me steering you somewhere.
Right.
Right. So I would have to kind of do all of that, but the nefarious agent, the agent, whatever, it's just a ploy. Right. It's just a script that they've written themselves that they could, nudge, nudge and wink, wink their way into what they want to get out there. So without knowing the intent, the hearts of the person speaking that, I don't know how you fucking gauge that. That's a tough line to walk there, Rob.
Right.
I mean,
and I agree. I do.
The greatest part of this story is they named this podcast Words Matter. So I want to know, realtors out there, how many of you want to hire Greg, Mr. Fabulous, to teach you scripts and dialogues, to teach you objections and rebuttals? And part of what's going on here and why we felt the need to show the video is, as I said in my video last Friday, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many people involved in this that don't know what they're talking about. Okay? When it comes to fiduciary duties and it comes to abiding by licensing law, it is very clear to me that Mr. Yale graduate who asked me where I went to college doesn't understand it. And he now has a better understanding of it since he saw my video where I very clearly showed the fiduciary duties and I read them right from NAR. And I'm sure that some others reached out to him as he said that as well. And I'm glad that he admits that on camera with Greg last week, that he admitted that. But you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of when a major newspaper organization accuses someone of a major accusation and puts it on the front page. And then they realize a week or 2 or 3 months later they were wrong. And they put a correction in the newspaper on the 9th page down the bottom in small font. That's what that is. So, Mr. Rob Hahn, Notorious Rob, I'm calling on you to stand up, get on video, and admit you were wrong. Admit that you misled people. Admit that your tweets were reckless because you're causing confusion in the industry. So not only I take personal offense to that as an attack on me when you accuse me of something that could potentially be criminal, which I would never even think of doing, but in addition to that, you're causing confusion to realtors all over the country. So I call upon you to man up, get on a camera, say it right in the beginning and say, I was wrong. And however you want to cushion it or pick on me before, after, as you did in this video, go right ahead. But admit you were wrong on accusing me of steering. Admit you didn't understand fiduciary duties. And apologize for your reckless tweet that you put out, which was probably the 30th time that you've put something out accusing me of steering. When you apologize for that, I'll have a newfound respect for you. Until then, I don't. Thank you everyone for watching.